The skinheads are drawn to the angry power of punk rock music and display their appreciation of it by thrashing about on the stage and dance floor. The music articulates a rage that all skinheads seem to share, but few seem able to put into words. The shaved heads, the polished steel-tipped work boots, the skinhead style, all provide a refuge in the vague code of conduct for a small segment of our alienated young.
We believe in using our fists and our feet and our boots, our bodies. We don't believe in going around with guns and everything, because that's not really the skinhead way.
It's a very rainy Sunday in New York, and we have come to CBGB's here in the Lower East Side because the skinhead movement is built essentially around a special kind of rock and roll music, a kind of rock and roll music that is performed here. And we come on Sunday because Sunday for skinheads is thrash day.
What up? Spiritual experience. We are back. Man, you hear that? You hear that? It's hoodie season. Get your boots on. Winter is coming. Crown of Thorns. The Juggernaut. Oh, man.
And our feet and our boots,
our bodies. Oh shit. Yeah, baby. We're back. Spiritual experience. You know the deal. You know who I am. You know what I'm about. Sometimes I don't even know what the fuck I'm about. It can change on a daily basis, but I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be back. Happy to be doing my thing. Let me shut that off before I start fucking kicking my own ass. Yeah, in case you guys don't know, that's Crown of Thorns, one of the originators of our style of hardcore. I know, like, the guys before me, you know, yeah, man, the guys before me. What was that? That's like the Agnostic Front era, Cro-Mags, all those guys who are in their 50s, fucking pulling out fucking vertebrae. They're all on, and you know, they're all like vegans now or something. I don't know. They ain't soft, but they ain't what it used to be. Anyway, so those guys, yeah, Crown of Thorns, they were part of that whole, you know, New York hardcore scene in the 90s that had a little bit more hip-hop flavor to it. You know, I love them. No Redeeming, Madball. Well, who else? Man, everybody. Strife. Oh, man, Strife was fucking everything. Indecision. Shout out Justin Brennan. He's like my councilman now. You know, it's funny how we all evolve or whatever. But yeah, it's been a little while. Last we spoke, I was with my man Edgar, and I had so much going on, man. I got, you know, my girls away in Miami with my middle child, you know, the one that I talk about here all the time, the one that I love in a very special way because they remind me a lot about myself, but all of my character defects, even though they're, you know, they're way smarter than I'll ever be in some regards, but in other regards, they're like slow. So it's just been me and my little boo for almost a week. And let me tell you something, I have not been like a single dad since my son was with us, and it was just me and him, you know, it was just me and him. Like when I first got sober, yeah, it was wild. You know, I first got sober, I was like 24. My son, I don't know how old he was, whatever, 7, 8, you know, it all comes out in the wash. And, you know, we ended up moving to Brooklyn. I had to get away from the rock, you know, where I grew up, people, places, and things. And my friends, they were very, you know, they're great people. They would never try and hurt me, but anytime I hung out with them, I wanted to get crazy and do shit like that. The Juggernaut, that was such a fucking insane song. And people would break bones in that fucking pit. And I used to hate when like people would say, "Oh, are you going moshing?" We used to just call it dancing. It wasn't even moshing, it was just dancing. And you know, yeah, and that was it, you know. And Isaac, the singer for that band, he ended up starting another band, Scarhead. You know, that whole time of my life, Marauder, probably my favorite hardcore band ever, Marauder. There was 2 sets, you know. There was like the Minus Days, which, you know, they were from like Sunset Park. They were like these skinheads. I think they were called like the Sunset Skins or something. I didn't even live in Brooklyn at that point, you know, but I'd be in the city all the time going to all these shows in these little venues and just getting blitzed. And it was a great time to be alive, you know. It was just a great time to be alive. It was a great time to be a teenager. You know, I didn't give a fuck about anybody or anything. I think as a young person, it's kind of like impossible to really care, you know. But you match that with like the 90s and this, the 90s was so good that like all the throwback shit is like of the 90s now. Like you see kids now wearing baggy clothes and Uptowns and this, that, and the third. Nobody's running around with Doc Martens, though. That would be incredible if I saw that. I personally, I never had a pair of Docs. I was like what was I wearing? I've been wearing Timbs forever. I think I lost my virginity with a pair of Timbs on, if I'm being honest. Timbs, different sneakers, whatever. I wasn't really a sneakerhead, but my shit that was kind of clean. I wore Uptowns, Skims. Look at me. When I think about Kim Kardashian, a fucking bitch. So Tim's, Uptowns, which younger people call Air Force Ones. Anybody from New York just calls them fucking Uptowns. I wore a lot of Wallabies. Definitely did that. But so you see these kids now, they're like, trying to bring all that stuff back. But they don't want, it's almost like, it's like Halloween. They want to wear the costume, but they don't want to go back to what it was like. So going to one of those shows or just being in the street and, it was dangerous for an addict, alcoholic teenager. It was a lot of fun, but you never know what was going to happen. You never knew what was going to happen, man. $5 bus ride. I'd be in Manhattan. I'd be in the city, hanging out with my friends. Some of the kids drove as we got a little bit older. But, I was like what are they calling? Like a bridge and tunnel kid or whatever. But there was a lot of shows up where I grew up too. We had our own little hardcore scene. I remember Atlas Shrugged. They were pretty good. I enjoyed them. Ghidra, man. Shout out to those guys. They were really good. My boy Hiram, my brother, he had Thin Ice. Thin Ice with Captain Kirk, with Kirk Bascom's brother Huey, who was my other boy, Hugh Bascom. Yeah, he played guitar, Thin Ice, bro. And they used to go shows everywhere, and the music was fucking good, man. It was fucking good. It was good. Who else was from there? Bulldoze, which was like the most famous band out of Rockland, whatever. Kevin Sear just died. I guess, R.I.P. to him. I don't really have much of an opinion on that. I wasn't close with that guy. And he was an intimidating motherfucker. He was like he was an animal. He was an animal. He was like one of those big fucking DMS guys. And, dude, they beat people up for fucking fun, And that wasn't my thing. I didn't beat people up for fun, Maybe, maybe I get into a little something over something small, but not for no reason. And I wasn't really a bully, but some of those guys that were like, but some of the other ones, they were cool. Whatever. I don't want to get too far into that thing, but yeah, either way. So, I miss those times. But I'm happy because I get to kind of not relive them, but I get to look back with I get to look back with reverence. I was just with my two of my boys that I grew up with. I went upstate to clean my boys' carpet. Yeah, I did that. Now you guys know what I do. Anyway, so I went up there. He's he's got a house now, and he's got a family, and he's got the whole thing. And either way, so his wife takes his daughter upstate to go see her friends. So now it's just me and him, and then my other boy shows up, and it's cigars and coffee and bullshitting and talking and whatever. They take edible. I don't take them. And dude, within like 90 minutes, they were like obliterated. Well, my one boy was obliterated. The other one, he was good to go. He's like, what does this guy say? He was tip top Magoo. He was fine. But my friend that I went to his house, dude, he was obliterated. He was like almost drooling on himself. I was like, all right, I'm ready to tap out and get out of here. I had 2 strong cups of coffee that they were like bragging about, and it was really good. It was from Greenwood Lake. I forgot the name of it or whatever. So there was that. And so I did that, and that was cool. So it was nice to like kind of, and then we FaceTimed, my other homegirl Torpy, who we used to call it Torple Nuts, just to kind of, to be like, wow, man, we made it through that time, and we're adults. She's got kids too, and everybody's in some ways. What do you want to say success is? I'm not going to say successful. I mean, we're definitely successful. I mean, this guy's a homeowner with a wife and a baby. And meanwhile, he was like a freaking maniac, like in the wind, like tumbleweed, whatever, never say no to anything, never say no to drinking, drugging, fighting, like nothing, this guy. And he was like a pretty mellow guy, but he was just like, yeah, man, he was always down for whatever. But meanwhile, he's got a nice wife, who I knew peripherally, but it was nice to see her when I went there. And his daughter was the cutest little fucking button, man. I mean, Jesus. She was just like a little angel, man. She was like 4 years old, and she was like, hi. I was like, oh, my God. I knew both your parents for 30 years, which is crazy. That I know people for 30 years. Yeah, so that was cool. And, there was that, so we did that. And, so it's nice to kind of look back at that time and be like, hey, man, we really lived. I don't know if these kids are really living today. I always, I feel like I'm complaining about them all the time, but they're like stuck in the Matrix. And they have all these opinions. And I was very opinionated when I was young, too. But I was also very driven. There was that. I was very driven. And, some of these kids are driven. Some of them are not. But, like, they're not in a position to, they wouldn't have made it. I'm sorry. They wouldn't have made it during our day. And maybe the kids from our day, like, I don't know. Maybe the kids from our day, like maybe the people from the 70s and 60s, like, oh, you would have never made it. Like, yeah, you guys were all like hippies. My generation, I was born in 79, right? So we're the first generation of freaking crack babies. Like, I went to school straight up with crack babies, My parents didn't smoke crack. You know, some of my family members did. But that's neither here nor there. But like, yeah, so we went to school like straight up crack babies, and there was no, I always say there was no internet. People don't understand, like, bro, what a big deal that was that there was no internet. We had to go out and find our own fun, find our own people, find our own mischief. And it wasn't very easy to behave, you know, because you had to really, really be creative. You know, you really did. So there's that, right? And, you know, you had all this angst and all this regular teenage anger and resentment, like, oh, they're trying to control me and this, that. And so when I found, and at the same time, this is what I mean, all right? So we are the first generation of crack babies. We are also the first generation we're the first hip hop generation, first generation rap music, right? Rap music was born in my time. You know, I talk with, you know, I laugh with my cousins, whatever, bro, that I knew Eric B. and Rakim lyrics before I knew my fucking times tables, you know? And that's just what it was. And the hardcore scene grew out of the punk scene that I didn't really know a lot about. I wasn't down with, you know, I was a little young for that. It was like, whatever, all those, you know, the Lower East Side was really the Lower East Side. Even when I was around, like in the 90s, but in the 80s, it was really Lower East Side. It was like Tompkins Square Park was like, you know, a fucking big shooting gallery of like dope fiends everywhere. And, yeah, so all those other, like you had to be crazy you just had to be crazy to survive, you know? It was all that madness. And it was just a different time. You know, even though my parents, you know, whatever, bro, I told you, I used to see my dad, you know, beat people up in the street. You can't do that kind of shit anymore. My kids have never seen me put their hands on anybody, put my hands on anybody. Never. You know, my dad, he fought with the neighbors. He beat up that one, he beat up the manager of Cleats and Sneaks in the store. Slapped around a couple of Little League coaches that I seen. I don't know. Oh, some kids came to my house, but I wasn't there. Looking for my sister. And my dad and my cousins beat him up in front of my house in the middle of the afternoon. So there's no cell phone footage. There's none of that. It's just he said, she said. And people behaved because of that. People behaved because of that, number one. Number two, yeah, people were a little bit more outgoing. Now they're just like so soft. You know, so soft. My girl's away, and so when we FaceTime her, you know, she's out in Miami. We FaceTime her, and it's me and my little boo. She's asking my little boo if she's like, is Jared behaving? I was like, dog, yes, I'm behaving. Meaning that, like, I'm not, you know, there's still part of me that's still trapped in that time. Even if it's 5% of me. And again, I'm not, you know, I'm not walking around with this chip on my shoulder. I'm not this tough guy, whatever. I've learned how to assimilate into society because I now, as a grown-up, I have things to lose. And I have time to lose. More than things, I have time to lose. And so when I'm confronted with situations where I believe that I'm in the right, and if there were no, you know, I spoke about this last time, and you know, that I did a solo thing where like everybody's so soft, they're talking shit to me on email or whatever. Bro, yeah. If that was the case, then, you know, if that wasn't the case, I'm like, dude, if you had to sit across from me, you'd have the different energy, you know? You'd have different energy. I had the same type of, you know, I've been running into that a little bit more lately, you know, because I guess, that, you know, I'm getting more shit. And if I'm getting more shit in my life, I have to deal with more weenies. These guys, they're fucking weenies, bro. And the nerds that I grew up with would kick the shit out of these weenies. So forget about tough guys, whatever. You know, the nerds that I grew up with would kick the shit out of these weenies. You know, there's you know, I have a commercial space that I rent for now, and the fucking, you know, they want to raise the rent, bro. And rightfully so. They're out there trying to make their money and whatever. And it's a game. And I'm from like the thing, you know, this is one of my character defects. And this is something that I shared this with my son. And maybe we'll go into this a little bit. Because this was like a big problem for me. Where, let me find the message. Just so you can understand where I'm coming from. This was, what's this guy? The guy, the mafia guy that now does all these interviews and whatever. Michael Franchese. He's a good dude in whatever. Like, he gives like the right advice that I need as an adult. And it's like a bad thing. So let me see if this will come up. Let me see. If not, I'll have to edit it out, and I'm sorry.
Sometimes you're the smartest guy in the room, but you don't want anybody to know it. Let them think you're a dummy. You don't know anything. And they're yapping away, right? It's a big advantage. There's other times when you're not the smartest guy in the room. Or if you keep your mouth shut, nobody knows that. They don't know it. So you let them talk, commit themselves. By the time they're finished, then you can become the smartest guy in the room because they told you everything. Sometimes you're the...
So you see, like that kind of mentality, I never had that. I never had that. My insecurities, like, they would be like an impulse fire that says you need to keep talking, and otherwise these people are going to find out that you're a fucking idiot, you know, or they're not going to like you unless you make them laugh, or unless you have to show everybody how smart you are. And that's like, it's one of the reasons why I was losing for so long in my life. And meanwhile, what I mean by losing by my standards, maybe by society standards, you know, I'm winning. That could be true, right? But who am I really in competition with? I'm in competition with myself. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, yeah. So, you know, they first off the management company, they have this guy. He just like starts texting me like, "Hey, we're gonna raise your rent to this." And it's like 20% more than I'm paying. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? I didn't say it like that, but I was like, dude, that's a lot of. It's like last year you guys only raised it this much, which was like whatever. So it was $150. Now they're raising it like $400. You know, and I'm like, yo, man, that's like a lot. He's like, whatever, it's market rate. And that's it. And so I start to have like an exchange with him where I'm trying to just understand, like, you know, just some clarity. Because this is not the way that they typically deal with me. Normally there's this lady who works in that office, and she's a nice lady, and she hits me up. She calls me. She's like, listen, I'm calling because your lease is up at the end of next month. And I'm wondering if you want to stay with us, which is nice. You know, that's like cordial. I'm like, yo, I'm down with doing business like that. And I look out for them as best I can. I look out for the super in the building, this, that, you know, whatever. If the building, what do you call them? Like the people run around and give tickets all over the city for the building inspectors. Sometimes they be outside and they are taking pictures of the building, and I call them right away. I'm like, listen, you got somebody over here taking pictures. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm just letting you know. You know, being considerate, because in my mind, it's like a relationship. I'm working here. You're providing me the space. There's like more than civility. It's just not all 100% business with me with everything that I do. And I think that's where I get these resentments, because then the guy's going back and forth with me like, no, it's just straight up business, right? And he was fucking an asshole about it, you know? And I was like, he's like, I don't understand why this is so difficult. This is what he's telling me. He's like, this is what you're paying. This is what you have to pay now. He says, I don't know why you don't get it. And I was like, bro, and I called him right away. And I was angry. And I felt, yeah, I don't know. I felt like, bro, you ain't going to talk to me like that. Or maybe I'm missing something, but it's a little bit of both, right? A, you're not going to talk to me like that. And B, because then I start doing all the math. Like, oh, I start texting my people, my friends who's a lawyer. You know, I have friends in wherever I have them. And I'm like, listen, Basil, he's a lawyer. He's an incredible lawyer. If you need a real estate lawyer and you're in Bay Ridge or in Brooklyn, Basil's the guy. I promise you. There's nobody else named Basil. Anyway, so I hit him up. I'm like, yo, Bay, this is what's going on, this, that, and the third. And he's like, listen, it's fucked up, but it's legal. You know, there's no like stabilization. There's no like percentages or whatever that they for commercial real estate. And the commercial real estate market is on fire right now, which is so funny because like if you listen to the news and everything else, it's like fucking doom and gloom. And like the market's crashing and everything, look out below and all of that stuff. None of that is happening where I am. In New York City, none of that is happening. You know what's going up? The crime. The crime is going up. The 90s are coming back. Yeah, the 90s are coming back. So, but anyway, look, man, I've been fortunate and I'm blessed enough that we've been really, we've been pretty busy. We've been pretty busy and business is good. I just bought a crib, the whole thing. So for, doom and gloom and the sky's going to open up, I'm either late to the party or I made enough, I dodged enough bullets that I'm in the game, like whatever, like it's not affecting me. I'm doing well. We're happy. Things are going well. There's wind in the sails. So I'm like, bro, who the fuck is this guy? Meanwhile, I can't afford to move and do whatever, but like I just invested a lot of money into my workspace, I did. And this guy was like fucking being a dick. Yeah, he was being a dick. So I called him and I had to, every time I was talking, he was talking over me. Like when I said, listen, bro, I don't understand why you're being so rude. I don't get it. You're asking me why I don't understand. I'm explaining to you why I don't understand. I don't understand because you are somebody that I do not know that works in this management office. You're reaching out to me and I didn't know my lease was already up. I don't keep track of that stuff because I'm used to doing business with you guys where you're like very forthcoming and say, hey, it's coming up next month. So since I feel like I'm being caught by surprise. He's like, you have a copy of the lease too. Mind you, it's like a 75-page fucking document. This commercial lease. It's crazy, right? So I'm just like, look, we both have an oversight, but regardless, this is why I'm not understanding what's going on. Because I'm normally used to dealing with this other lady and she does business this way. I don't know. I was like, have we ever signed a lease before, me and you together? And he's like, that's none of your business whether or not I signed a lease with you. I couldn't believe he said that. He said, it's not your business. And I was just like, holy shit. I was like, bro, I pulled over. I was so angry. I want to start threatening the guy. And I'm like playing the tape through. And I'm just like, hey, you do that, all these other things are going to go on. And he wins because it's not even his money. He doesn't get, he's a peon. He's some guy that works chasing down people for money in a management office. He's a property manager. He's a zero. And maybe he's mad that that's his lot in life. And he's taking it out on me where he gets like a little bit of satisfaction that life has pushed him around, that's what he does for a fucking living. And he's not somebody, he's a spoke on the wheel. I am the wheel. I have my own wheel. And if the owner of the building would talk to me, he would say, oh, you are also a business owner. And he would give me that respect. It's always people who who never been in your shoes that don't know what kind of respect your position demands. It's like the fucking the super like liberal people who talk about the fucking military. Oh, they're baby killers or this, whatever. I'm like, dog, do you even know what it's fucking like to be that selfless? For fucking peanuts. It's almost like it's unheard of for them, but they're running their fucking mouth. It's like this guy, he's running his mouth at me. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? And not like ego, like, do you know who I am? But a little bit of that, like, yeah, bro, do you know what I've done? Bro, I put the work in. There's a reason why I'm here and why you are just a salaried employee pushing papers around, counting beans. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that I'm better than you as a human, but if I'm respecting you, I'm going to have to ask you to respect me. Right? That's the energy I'm giving him without threatening him, Because in those moments, the only thing I can do when the anger gets a hold of me is just really make it worse. Right? Then where do I find myself? I find myself back 15 years old at one of those skinhead hardcore shows, losing control. And, all of that energy comes when the reality is like, this guy, he's not even a decision maker. So I tell him, okay, instead of that, I'll take a lease extension. And instead of that, can we just do this? He's like, I'll ask owners. Of course, because you're not in a position to make a fucking decision. You're only in a position to talk shit via text or on the telephone. And I hope you're at the lease signing, so I can let you know to your face that you're a fucking piece of shit, or whatever. But I also don't want to jeopardize what I have because I just finally got like I'm in the groove. You build your life and then you get into a groove. And that's when the devil shows up. It's like, Will Smith with the slap, whatever. The devil shows up when you're in the groove. I'm like, yeah, this is my disease telling me, look, why don't I just throw some fucking hand grenades on my life right now? Everything is going really good. Business is going good. I have the right amount of employees. I got leverage. I'm sober. I'm happy. I'm grateful. My girl's good. My kids are on their way. My son just got a promotion. I'm happy in my own skin. Not on the outside stuff, but like, dude, compared to where I came from, and not like I wasn't born into some kind of, some kind of poverty-stricken situation where I had limited resources. The limited resources I had was my decision-making and the limitations I placed on myself with my ignorance and my lack of self-control and my inability to ask for help or inability also to accept help. That's the other thing. And my inability to, like what Michael Franche said, to play fucking dumb. A lot of times in life, that's how you got to get ahead, is you got to play dumb, and not even play dumb, just keep your mouth shut. And that, I didn't get that memo. I was always a loud mouth. And if you think it's loud on the outside, I can tell you it's even louder on the inside, It is. My brain doesn't stop, and it's not always positive stuff about me and about the world. I get offended, like my girl's like, oh, dude, is he behaving? Yeah, because, sometimes I say the wrong things, and that's okay. But so far, I'm getting a good report card. Me and my little boo were having fun. I took her because she's gonna go with me to Guido's wedding. So I took her shopping with yesterday to Zara on 17th Street in the city, and she picked out a nice outfit. It's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be nice. And she's going to love it. And I texted Guido like, hey, I'm bringing my little one with me to the wedding. Emily can't make it. And whatever. And he was like, yeah, of course, no problem. And so today she had to go. I had to show her now she has to get something tailored, you know. It's pants and it's dope. It's a whole outfit, you know. And yeah, it's dope. So she I showed her where the tailors were. The tailor's like a full like 7 or 8 blocks from my house. Now, how I grew up, that would be not a big deal. But since these kids are trapped inside all the time on their fucking phone, her going by herself to the tailor 7 or 8 blocks away to get something tailored for the first time, bro, that's like an anxiety attack waiting to happen with fucking sprinkles on it, you know? So I let her know. I said, listen, you see, here's the tailor. It opens tomorrow. This is the address. I showed it to her, and I said, look, it's right across the street from the police station, so you can feel comfortable. I live in a pretty good neighborhood anyway. It's working class. It's you know, lower middle class, you know, or whatever. Not upper, yeah, it's you know, yeah, it's working class. It's not upper middle class or lower middle class. Ain't no millionaires in my neighborhood except for like the homeowners, you know. It's a lot of rentals and a lot of leftovers from like the 80s and 90s that are still in that part of Bath Beach / Bensonhurst, right near Coney Island. But that's the way we like it. We don't want to live around uppity people. You know, they tend to be a little bit more annoying than just like a neighborhood drunk who's passed out on the street in front of the liquor store. That guy's okay. You know what I'm saying? But somebody who thinks their shit doesn't stink and is peeking over my fence and like, you know, being pretentious. There's no time for pretentious in my neighborhood because everybody's working, so everybody gets along and there's no problems. Even the couple of junkies that are around, everybody's okay. You know? So either way, and I hit her up this morning. I'm like, dude, you have to go and do that because I'm at work and I have a very busy day today. And she's like, oh, I thought I have to go tomorrow. I said, no, because you need it ready for Saturday. And she went. And I was so proud of her. She just, you know, it was time for me to put them in a position. I enjoy doing this, but putting them in a position where they're very uncomfortable so that way they can have some actual growth, you know. And she did it. She went there with the shoes, did the whole thing, left it. She texted me. She's like, this lady wants a deposit. What's that? I said, that's money. So she gave her the deposit, and the lady said, listen, it'll be ready Saturday morning. I was like, okay. So she did that, and I was so proud of her, man. She's everything. And, yeah. And that was the deal. That was the freaking deal. So, you know, yeah, I'm smiling, you know, because she has it. You know, a lot of people have it. They have what it takes. But we don't really force them into those opportunities where they can find out for themselves what they're made of. The best thing I ever did was find out what I was made of and find out what I wasn't made of. And that's the best thing. So then I can just ask for help and somebody will help me and show me. And then I can start to be made up of new stuff, you know, of new shit. I can start to do that, be made up of that kind of thing, you know. So that's, it's always nice. It's always nice, you know. But it's painful and it's fearful and it's like, I don't say fearful, but it's like, yeah, it's painful. Growth is painful because it's easy for me to just stay just kind of like floating along and not going uncomfortable places, you know. I'm challenging myself in this other way, you know, where, I'm trying to join the Polar Bear Club, the Coney Island one. And, yeah, I'm going to have to jump in that cold water, man. It's just water. I'm not going to die. I may feel like I want to die, but I'm not going to die. But it's going to be nice because that kind of stuff is going to spill over into all the other areas of my life, you know. And I've been really slacking this last month. I haven't been really lifting a lot of weights or going to the gym. I've just been holding it down, you know. We got the crib. We closed on that. We're getting that thing together, You know, my girl had this trip going to Miami. You know, I have an anniversary coming up, October 29th. 19 years sober. You know, my parents are like, you know, they're getting old. And life is going on. I was actually, it's funny because like what I'm thinking about now, because you know, it's hoodie season. And those of you guys who are not in New York, you don't even know what that is. But hoodie season is what we live for, man. The fall is everything in New York. I love the winter too. And I have a bunch of winter coats, but I'm thinking about going old school and getting me like a navy blue pea coat. You know, I used to have one. I loved them. You know, it's like super throwback shit. But I don't want to just go spending money just to spend it so I can, you know, look cool or whatever. Which was another funny thing. So, you know, when we're in Zara, you know, they had, like I said, all that old school stuff is coming back. Downstairs, they had they had old school rugby shirts that I loved, you know, and I loved them from back in the day. So I bought 2 of them. They looked the part. They're not the part, but they looked the part. The old school ones had like those rubber buttons that were a pain in the ass, but they were like, dude, I knew guys that wore rugby shirts that would kick the shit out of you, even though they made you look kind of like a little bit of like a college, like, yuppie, whatever. I don't know. But rugby shirts was everything. Short sleeve ones and long sleeve ones. So anyway, I bought a couple. But at the time, you know, it was good. So I go upstairs to the register. And I'm not saying I stick out like a sore thumb, but you know, the way that I am, like you know, the way I'm dressed, I don't really blend at in that store. You know, I don't know what neighborhood that is, but yeah, 17th Street, 5th Avenue. It's almost like Chelsea, I guess. Everybody's like fancied out. Anyway, it's cool. It's like whatever. I don't mind the neighborhood at all. Anyway, but I'm in there and I have fatigue shorts on, Tim's, and I got myself a no redeeming hoodie. Yeah, no redeeming social value. Another great band. Anyway, so I'm so happy to wear that. It was my brand new hoodie. I wore it into the city. I'm out there, I'm like posting up. I'm somebody's dad buying their kid an outfit for a wedding first time. It's like a dream come true. Especially it's like my little girl, you know. My little boo is the little daughter I always wanted. So, yeah. Anyway, so we pull up to the register. And there's like this young, whatever, Spanish girl behind there. And she looked at me and she said, I like your fit today. And it took me a minute for that to download. Like fit means outfit. And she told me, she's like, I like your fit today. Looks good. I was like, thank you. You know? But right away, when I'm leaving with my little boo, you know, I was like, yo, that girl told me she liked my outfit. I was like, is she fucking with me? Because I look like some kind of throwback 1997 old man. It's like, you know, like that girl on the train that yelled at the guy for wearing the 8-ball jacket and he smacked the shit out of her, which was it's still one of my favorite videos to watch to this day. If you guys haven't seen it, I don't know what to tell you, but just put 8-ball jacket slap train in YouTube and you'll see this guy. He slapped the fucking life out of her and she deserved it. So I was like, yo, is this girl like making fun of me? Or whatever, but I, you know, and then my little one was just like, no, that's just your insecurities. You know, she paid you a compliment. It was nice. So I was like, hell yeah. Fucking hell yeah. So that was good, you know. And, yeah, that's where we're at with it. We're going to go to this wedding. We're going to keep on keeping on. And, you know, I'm going to try to stay in the grace. Count my blessings. So that way I don't burn them to the ground. And also just keep putting one foot in front of the other, trying to be more consistent with my show, with our show. We'll get some more guests on here. I know I've been slacking the last couple of months. I've been really and there's more busy stuff coming up, but it doesn't matter. I'm committed. And we have, you know, we figure out how many. We reached 3,500 downloads, which is nice. You know, I appreciate all the love. And we're plugging away. You know, we're plugging away. And the future's bright. Anyway, I love you guys. We'll see you on the flip side. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share with all your friends. Hopefully you can offend them with some of our banter or whatever. And I'll get some other guys on here too so we can talk some shit. All right, guys. Peace. Love you. Okay, everybody. We'd like to thank you for joining us on the Spiritual Experience. Please don't forget to like and subscribe on all podcast platforms. Spotify, Apple, Google, Pandora, everywhere. And please find us on Facebook where you can become part of our family. We'll see you around.